Now let's speak with our correspondent Pt2, who is in South Africa and has been following the Oscar Pistorius trial.
He obviously he's taken responsibility for the fact that he took someone's life. But if you look at the four-count charge against him, the first one was premeditated murder. That is what he's saying. What I'm being accused of, I'm not guilty of. That's why he said he's not guilty. He says it was a mistake, not premeditated, like cold-blooded murder. So that, and he's been schooled, I guess, by his attorneys, but he indeed has to be careful what he admits to. But he's saying what I'm being accused of, which is, according to the state, premeditated murder, I'm not guilty of. That is where the not guilty, among the other smaller charges of discharging, a firearm in a public place and all that. But the issue of premeditated murder, he says, I'm not guilty. Well, what the prosecution is supposed to do, pick holes in his testimony. Today, he picked some holes in between his testimony in chief, his bail application, and the plea statement. Different issues with regard to, for example, him going out to get the fan. Did you go out to get the fan? Mm-hmm. And then there was a zooming to the extension cord if indeed a fan was plugged and all that. So he's going to really keep picking these different statements or testimonies with a fine-tooth comb. And in the next few days, as he told him today, I'm not going away. I'll keep on with the questions. So we'll see that play out in the next few days. I don't know how long he's going to keep him. We know that when that's Advocate Gerrie Nel, when he had the chief of police here in South Africa, that's Mr. Jackie Salevi, he had him on the stand for almost 2 weeks, about 9 days, and at the end of the day, he got him convicted of impropriety. So we don't know how long he's going to have him, but he's going to pick every single statement. And we see that Oscar Pistorius has been cautious in his answer, not wanting to implicate himself, but it's going to be hard given the way Advocate Gerrie Nel is going about his cross-examination.
Well, it's very unfortunate, but the number of people believed to have been killed by the Ebola virus in Guinea alone has passed 100. The United Nations World Health Organization warns that it's one of the most challenging Ebola outbreaks that they've ever had to deal with, and it could take another 4 months to contain. Ebola is spread by close contact and kills between 25% and 90% of its victims. The World Health Organization says an outbreak of the deadly Ebola virus in West Africa is one of the most challenging ever faced, adding that it could take from 2 to 4 months to contain. The virus is still spreading in 3 areas of Guinea. One of them is a southeastern region, some 900 kilometers from Guinea's capital, Conakry, and that's a city which has itself reported 20 cases to date.
This is one of the most challenging Ebola outbreaks that we have ever faced, and right now we have documented cases both in Guinea and in Liberia. And the reasons why this is one of the most challenging outbreaks is that first we see a wide geographic dispersion of cases. So this has come in from a number of districts as well as a large city in Guinea, Conakry.
The outbreak is also the first to strike West Africa, where some people have become infected from burial practices that involve direct contact with body fluids of the deceased.
So clearly in Guinea Forestière, the outbreak is not over. This is the epicenter of the outbreak, and as long as this is not controlled there will be cases being exported from Guinea Forestière in the rest of the country, and likely, like it happens in Liberia, in other countries.
Some 50 foreign experts have been deployed to help with infection control measures in hospitals and to trace 600 known contacts of infected patients. Well, to shed more light on the Ebola outbreak, my colleague Amarachi Ubani spoke with the Voice of America's Carol Pearson, and here's what they had to say.
The most important thing in containing the virus is to get people isolated who have it, and also to have their secondary infections treated, like the fever, diarrhea, to be treated by health professionals who are totally outfitted in protective garb. And Guinea is actually, Doctors Without Borders have actually said that there have been a number of patients in Guinea who have survived this virus and have been released from these isolation units.
Well, this past week has been highly significant for the people of Rwanda as they remember the victims of the genocide which ended the lives of at least 800,000 people in the space of 100 days. As you can see on your screen right now, the President of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, along with the UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, light a torch which is to burn for 100 days.
The killings.
Rwandans continue to seek the most complete explanation possible for what happened. We do so with humility as a nation that nearly destroyed itself. The passage of time should not obscure the facts, lessen the responsibility, or turn victims into villains. People cannot be bribed or forced into changing their history, and no country is powerful enough, even when they think they are, to change the facts.
Now, the number of days which the torch will burn is highly symbolic as it represents the number of days during which the genocide took place. France has also acknowledged mistakes in its dealings with Rwanda, but has repeatedly shut down accusations that it trained militias to take part in the massacres. Here's more on the story.
One of the ways they're remembering is via a service at this cathedral in Kigali, where a number of people were killed during the genocide. At the time, many were encouraged to take shelter in churches, schools, and public buildings. Unknown to them, it was a ploy to make the killing of hundreds much easier. Most of the victims were slashed with machetes and left for dead. Shortly after, Hutu President Juvenal Habyarimana was killed when his plane was shot down over the Rwandan capital. The attack mobilized Hutu government soldiers and allied extremist militia who orchestrated the genocide to exterminate the Tutsi minority. In villages across the densely populated country, neighbor turned on neighbor as victims were hacked to death, burned alive, clubbed, and shot. Today, the message is peace and reconciliation.
I remember this tragedy, this horrific genocide against Tutsi, like something which should be a shame for human beings, for Rwandans. I wonder how it reached there. You know, that is something that always in April, everyone then wonder why, what happened to us.
At the time, hundreds of Rwandans fled to refugee camps in neighboring countries. Many fled to Tanzania, Zaire, where troops and militia of the former Rwandan government are alleged to have committed atrocities and tried to stop refugees from returning home. 20 years after, a total of 92 people, overwhelmingly Hutus, were indicted for their role, but only 70 individuals out of thousands involved in the genocide have been convicted by the UN-backed court that was designed to deliver justice. The government said it made more progress with the local courts, trying over 2 million suspects through its controversial Gacaca system of community courts. The informal courts ran for about 10 years, between 2002 and 2012, during which time an estimated 65% of those were convicted.